Hello everyone and welcome back again to another EV Geek podcast review. He is Sebastian, I am Joel, and today we have the 2024 Nissan Leaf. This is the SV Plus, courtesy of Superior Nissan in Conway, Arkansas. Huge shout out to Abraham and the team over there for letting us borrow this short notice on a nice Saturday afternoon. So kind of the quick specs of this EV. 60 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery, so smaller battery, 214 horsepower, 212 EPA estimated range, 17-inch wheels. So if you don't know a lot about EVs, this is like one of the first OG EVs that came out. So I think the original Nissan Leafs were what year?
2012 was when they started the first gen, I believe.
Yes.
And those had like a 24 kilowatt hour battery pack.
So we're talking almost like 12 years later. It's still here. It's still alive. It's still
Joel,
kicking.
It's 13 years. It's
13
2025
years. Sorry,
now.
I forgot about that. 13
It's
years.
2025 now.
And I'm an educator, so that's not good. And it keeps on kicking. And we looked online and you said 2025.
There is a 2025
There
model
still is
year.
a 25. So the Leaf lives on.
Yeah, so we mentioned, so Gen 1 when we started, I believe it was a 24 kilowatt hour battery pack. They eventually added a 40 kilowatt hour battery pack. And 2018 or 2019, I can't remember, is when they launched this body style, the Gen 2. And there's the 40 kilowatt hour battery pack. And then this one is the SV Plus. So the plus on the end indicates that it has the big battery. So 60 kilowatt hour battery pack. Now there are some things about the Leaf that have not changed since it was introduced, such as CHAdeMO for your fast charging ports.
Still have CHAdeMO.
Still CHAdeMO, dead standard at this point.
Yep.
But not everyone fast charges, so it might not be a big deal for you. The other thing that is still kind of a bummer on Leafs, although I hear that it might not be as bad on the second gen Leafs as it was on first gen Leafs, is there is no active thermal management on the battery
And
pack.
that means what?
So it is air cooled. That means when it's really hot outside, the battery's hot. When it's really cold outside, the battery's cold. So when it's hot, you know, when you're driving, yeah, you have wind blowing over the car, but ultimately, you know, if it's 100 degrees outside, you're going to equalize at 100 degree on your battery pack, right? And then same thing when it's really cold, it's going to warm up as you accelerate, decelerate, but ultimately you can only do so much of that, right?
That's right.
That in the original Leafs, that was a killer. It was not uncommon to see batteries being replaced in warranty because they had over 20% degradation in the first like 6 years. I believe they've made a lot of changes in chemistry to make that not near as bad from what I've read up on this car, but it is still important to keep in mind because I believe this is currently the only EV you can still buy that does not have any sort of liquid thermal management on the battery.
So we drove an older, I think it was a 2018 we drove. So it was a used vehicle, kind of did a whole video on budget EVs. We were pleasantly surprised. The first time driving a Nissan Leaf, we were pleasantly surprised. And we heard a lot of things about it. We got in it. We really liked it. So now we're excited to see what changes they've made to the 2024. So we're gonna do a quick walk around tour, hop in, we're gonna, as you normally do, we'll kind of give you a quick tour of the inside, infotainment, tech, and then Sebastian's gonna get us on the road and do a driving review. But yes, if you need just a basic commuter car to get you to and from work, short distance traveling, Nissan Leaf would work great for that.
Yeah, and I just want to temper real quick, just because you brought it up. So it was a 2018 or 2019, I can't remember we drove. It was the 40 kilowatt hour pack.
Oh, it was a small battery.
So it was a small battery, but that one had like 75 or 80,000 miles on it.
Yep.
And when we went in the screen, I think it was only showing like 5 to 10% battery degradation.
Yes.
Which on the original Gen 1 Leafs would be unheard of.
Yes.
It would have already lost like 15 to 20%.
Yep.
So that's some of my basis for it. I think they've done some stuff to improve the chemistry because that car before was an Arkansas car.
Yep.
And so it gets hot here, it gets cold here. You know, in the summer you have 110 degree days, easy, sitting on blacktop. It's probably even hotter.
Last night the low was 14, so
And then you have, you know, 14 single digit days as well, which is, that's what kills these batteries, is especially with no cooling.
Yep.
But it seems like maybe they have done some improvements on it.
Gotcha. All right, so we're gonna show you some other parts of the car, and we'll be right back here on the EV Geek podcast. All right, we are back. Sebastian, give us a quick tour of the outside of this 2024 Nissan Leaf SV Plus.
Yeah, so this one's white, which is like the most common Leaf color.
Yep.
Not a bad thing.
They had another one on the lot that was pre-owned. It was white.
Yep. Anyway, so these are 17-inch wheels. I don't think they're awful.
No.
There's a lot going on, but it actually works. I think they look good. You don't see that much activity out of Nissan wheels usually, but these are good.
Yep.
So this one is the SV trim level. So SV is kind of in the middle of the Leaf range. So you have S, SV, SL, and then Plus is for the big battery, and then you have the non-Plus models.
There's one more model up. It would be the SL Plus.
Yes, I believe so. You do have your push button keyless entry, which is nice. Lock, unlock, good stuff.
Yep.
What's expected.
Easy stuff.
Yep. When you come around here to the back, this is a hatchback, of course. You get your updated Nissan badge. Cool. Come in here, you have a button here. You pop the trunk. It is not power. You do have gas struts. That said, a lot of space back here, to be honest.
This is a very deep trunk. It is.
Yeah. Now, there's no under trunk storage or anything like that. It's just sheet metal under the carpet. But it's really sizable. You could fit a decent amount of stuff back here for a grocery haul or whatever.
Yep.
And kind of cool, you have back here, which I don't know if you can show that very well. You have a trunk release and a button that actually locks the car. Yep. Which is cool.
So you can lock the whole car from here. Yep.
So we'll pop that closed, and there's not a whole lot to show off on the front, that side of the car, but let's go walk around front. No front trunk on the Leaf.
Nope.
And the front, honestly, looks fine. You've got kind of a Nissan, I believe they call V-Motion is what they call the grille, that kind of little swooping V. And you have at the front the panel, which actually they had open, for your charger. So you can open it with a button on the inside of the car, or you can press and hold this button here on the key. You'll hear it pop. Grab it. And here you go, you have your charge ports. Now, kudos to Nissan. I appreciate that they do flaps on these, like actual flaps.
Yep.
Press this, there's your J1772 for level 2 charging.
Yep.
I believe this is a 32 amp onboard charger. I believe that's right. Anyway.
If we're wrong, put it in the comments.
Yeah. And then on this side, you have your good old trusty CHAdeMO.
Yeah, that looks impressively complicated.
It does look really complicated. It's not often you see ports that make CCS look complicated.
Yes.
Or make CCS look simple.
Yes.
Sorry.
And
Anyway.
there are still some electric vehicle stations that you still charge CHAdeMO at.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's cool. So A to Z EV, which we've talked about before, and we've kind of worked with before. When we did our road trip to Austin, they provided an adapter for me to use on my Bolt on superchargers. They actually make a adapter for CHAdeMO to CCS.
Gotcha.
So you could, now it's expensive, it's like $1,000 for the adapter, but it's because there's a lot of like communications that happen, because one of the key differences with CHAdeMO is what starts the charging.
Yes.
So on CHAdeMO, I believe the charger starts, whereas on CCS, the car starts, or something like that.
I think our buddy at JT at Franklin Charging has one of those CHAdeMO to CCS adapters.
Yeah, so anyway, and so to have the adapter where you can then plug in at CCS stations kind of helps, because, I mean, really CHAdeMO is going away.
Yeah.
You know, we're seeing at new Electrify America stations where they're either not installing a CHAdeMO or there's one. Yep. You know, and usually if there's the one CHAdeMO station, it's because they upgraded a site that already had one and they just left it. And you'll roll up to the site and you'll have 4 of these new next-gen dispensers and then the one old dispenser still. And so that's kind of what we're seeing, you know, and our friend JT at Franklin's Charger, he has 2 CPE 250s, and he actually replaced the CHAdeMO on one of them with the NAX cable. Yep. He did keep CHAdeMO on the other because we have some Leaf drivers and he knows that and whatever. But it's a standard that's going away. Yep. 2025 Leaf still has CHAdeMO. However, I believe that there is a new Leaf coming for 2026, and I would expect it to probably launch with NAX.
That would be awesome.
Because, which it doesn't apply to this car, but Nissan does currently support Tesla supercharging. Yep. I don't think you could do this even if you tricked it with the adapter or anything, but it does happen. Yep.
Do we want to get a back seat, see how much room we got back there?
Yeah, let's check out the back seat. There's not a whole lot else on the outside of the car.
Our 6-foot roll, our 6-foot test, sorry.
So, you can kind of take a peek in here. Very simple, basic materials. There's not a whole lot going on, but that's kind of expected for a Leaf. This one, the MSRP on it is 38 grand, which is kind of steep. But there's always, the Leaf is one of those cars, always has tons of incentives.
Dealers incentives. We're seeing some crazy lease deals in some states for like $20 a month.
It has qualified for tax credit. I don't know if it does currently, or maybe it's the 2024s qualify, the 2025s don't. I don't remember exactly what it is, but you know, you've been able to get tax credit on these before. And again, this is not a base model, lower model. I think the lower models start right at 30. Yes. But yeah, let me hop in real quick so you can see space. I have the seat where I will be to drive. I'm 6 foot tall. I'll hop in. Other than the roof line being a little low and the seat being kind of high up, I've got knee room. I've got about 2 fingers of headroom above me. You kind of sit really vertical, but that's fine. You do have, like you mentioned, 2 USB ports. You got 2 cup holders here on the floor.
You got one in the door?
Not one in the door. It's not a bad place to be. Not bad at all. Getting out is the hardest part because, again, the roofline is a little low, especially with the seat as high as it is, but that's fine.
Yep.
Anything else on the outside before we hop in?
No, we're gonna get our gear ready, hop in. Sebastian's gonna hop in the driver's seat. I'll be in the passenger seat. We're gonna set some cameras up, and then we'll give you a little inside review, interior review of the 2024 Nissan Leaf SV Plus. Once again, courtesy of Superior Nissan. Okay, we have now hopped inside this 2024 Nissan Leaf. Sebastian, there are a lot of buttons in here.
There are a lot of buttons.
If you like buttons, this may be the car for you. So lots of buttons, and Sebastian's going to try to go over all of them with you.
Yeah. So before we even do anything, we talked about on the outside, this generation was introduced in 2018, I believe. At this point, so that's 7 years ago. You can kind of tell. Nothing about this is bad, but it just it looks like it's a 7-year-old interior, right? But that said, it is pretty dang functional. So you do have a start-stop button right here. Press your foot on the brake, press it on, it'll do some beeps. You can see the radio boot up. It does like a little boot up animation over here. All of this, very standard kind of stuff and would make sense from a Nissan that would have been designed in released in 2018. Yeah. You do on the SV trim, you have heated seats, which is nice. These are cloth seats, they're not anything fancy. They are comfortable though.
So let's go ahead and turn it on. There we go.
I mean, it's very simple. There you
go.
There's no messing with screens or anything.
There's no messing with screens.
Push it, and it's on.
If technology intimidates you, this would be a great car for you.
Yeah. So just real quick looking around, you have your shifter, which is a weird orb. It does work though, push up for reverse, push down.
It's a bop it.
For drive, center for park. It is a bop it. Bop it, twist it, pull it. You have your E-pedal, which is your one pedal drive. You have an eco mode button. Climate control, you have single zone climate in here. It does have an automatic function. It works as you expect. When you hit auto, you'll see it pop up here on the top of the radio screen, showing you kind of what it's doing. All that makes sense. I'm gonna actually put it back on AC because it doesn't want to run the AC right now. If you look at the infotainment system, so if you are familiar with Nissans, this is the exact same infotainment system it's had since 2018. And this has been in 2018, 2019 era Nissan. So my wife had a 2019 Kicks at one point, and it was the exact same system.
Okay.
So this is kind of your key up home screen, and you can actually press and hold and move stuff around. There's a way to do it, or customize.
There you go. The weather. That's pretty cool.
It does tell you the weather using Sirius XM. Anyway, so you kind of have multiple screens, but this is key up. So if you come over here, you have your phone. This does support, I believe, let me, double check that. I believe we do get Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Yeah. Which is good and nice, because ultimately you probably won't actually use this.
Yeah, you probably use your own native phone.
You can come over here to info though, and you get all this. So you have all your Sirius XM stuff, which, is what it is. You have to have the Sirius XM subscription. You can come in here to the EV menu though, and you get energy usage. So you can see right now we have 111 miles still empty. It'll show you how many kilowatts you're using in the electric motor when you drive, how much power you're using for climate control and other systems. Cool. You can also come here, driving range, and it will show you a little cloud of how far it says you can make it. Yep. Which is nice, and I believe
I think we're at about 50% state of charge.
We are right at 50%, and it'll actually show you like level 2 chargers. Let's see, does it show any?
We're in Conway, so there won't be any high. The only one here would be Tesla. So. Yeah,
I was just wondering because there are a couple dealerships that have.
It showed a couple charge point on there.
Let's see, is there a way to filter quick charge only? There we go. Yep. Oh, okay. Well, anyway. Yep. It does give you a way of looking at EV chargers. I don't know what it was up with that. Anyway, keep going. You can also there's a list of nearby stations, and you have your EV settings, so you can set up whether or not you want it to tell you when you have low battery or if the destination's out of range. You can do charging messages, so you can do for like unplugs and whatnot. Autosave, new charging stations, all that,
Now, we're not sure how this interacts with like a Nissan app. So if you're watching this video, feel free to put in the comments on if the app works with the car and how that kind of works.
Yeah. So, I mean, pretty basic stuff. It'll get you, do what you need to do. You do have, again, audio, Sirius XM. Home. Sorry, I was struggling. You have your map. So this has a very kind of basic navigation system. It'll get you there, but it does not do any route planning or whatnot. But you can also just use Apple CarPlay. So use Apple Maps to keep going. Very, very basic stuff over here. Not anything amazing, not anything super cool, but it works.
Yep.
And that's kind of the whole theme of the Nissan Leaf is it's a basic EV, and it will always work.
Yep.
So if you hand me the gimbal, we'll talk about the driver's instrument cluster. So you can see right now we are on kind of a just blank screen. It's actually your driver's assistant view. You can kind of page down through here, and you can get settings for your forward collision, lane keeping, and blind spot monitoring. You have a speedometer with a compass at the top and your music at the bottom. You have your tire pressures, and that's about it for that one. And then you can go side to side, and you get your energy. So this is your average efficiency. You can do it on a graph. You can go over again, and you get your compass. And I believe if you have navigation set, it'll show you directions right there, kind of like turn left, turn right. Music again. And there's the screen that I was looking for, where it has your range real big on the top and shows you a power meter and your regen. And I believe, you can click down and you get your charge time estimate. There you go. It shows you 6.6 kilowatt, so 32 amp onboard charger, like I thought. Battery temperature, so you can see right now we are actually kind of cold. Good that it shows you that. And there's your battery capacity. So this is actually your battery health.
Yep. So full health.
So as the car ages and you get degradation, you'll see it tick over away. But like we said, that when we drove earlier this year, or late last year, because it's 2025 now, it was at 80,000 miles, I believe, and it was still showing I think it was full battery health, or like it had lost maybe like 1 bar. So I mean, it was doing pretty well. And then you're back here. The other thing on here is you can come all the way over to your settings, and you have a whole bunch of stuff in here. So this is for your traction control, stability control stuff. Driver's assistance, so this is where you can kind of set up more things. So if you want to do steering assist, lane keeping, and you can come up here. Do you want to do lane departure warning or just prevention? So I'll actually turn both of those on. Your blind spot monitoring, which this does have, and it'll actually intervene. So if it thinks you're getting over on top of someone, it will steer you back.
I noticed in the mirrors that does have the
and you can actually change the brightness of those.
Oh,
which is interesting.
Yep.
I'm gonna just set them to bright because why not?
Yep.
Let's see here. You have your emergency braking. So do you want it to emergency brake in the front and rear? Parking aids. Do you want it to do, it has sonar, so it can do the, know when you're getting too close to something, as well as cross traffic alerting, driver attention alert. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of stuff in here. Low temperature alert, chassis control, which is for active trace. E-pedal settings. So do you want it to retain when you turn the car on or off? And then you can come in here, you can customize the display some. Let's see, what even is in there? I don't actually know. Okay, what do you want it on by default? That makes sense. Vehicle settings. So this is where you get your rear door alert. You can set up a delay lighting. When you unlock the car, do you want it to unlock all the doors, etc. And EV settings. So this is where you can come in here. Do you want it to lock the charger when you plug it in or not? So right now it's set to just be unlocked, but you can actually have it lock the level 2 to where you'd have to unlock the car before it let you unplug. You can come in here and set up your charge time, and so if you know you're like, time of use or weights or whatever, you can set them here. You can also set the screen to take that into account. You can set timing for your climate control, so if you want it to turn on at 7 a.m. every day, for example, you can do it there. Not a whole lot else here. You have your TPMS, maintenance. None of this else is really interesting, but still, a ton of settings on here that aren't on the infotainment screen.
Now we know where they're at, because we tried finding them on the infotainment screen, we couldn't find them, so now we know where they're at.
And when we're talking about it, this has Nissan's, I believe they call, I think it's ProPilot is what they call the Nissan system. So it does have the button for that. We'll try it out in a little bit, as well as you have your media controls, volume up, down, next track. All that makes very standard sense. And you do have adaptive cruise as well, so you could use that just by itself. Over here on the left, you have more buttons. So this was an interior release for the charge port door. You can also set up to turn off the schedule. So if you have one a schedule set up, you plug it in, you can just hit that quickly to disable the schedule and make it charge immediately. You have a heated steering wheel and a button for your lane keep.
There you go.
I'm gonna hand this back to you, because let's look at this. This vehicle does, for it to have been released as long as it has, 2018, you do get a 360 camera. Cameras aren't amazing quality or anything, which it makes sense for the age. However, it does have them.
Yep.
Which is cool, and it will even do like moving object detections and alert you or whatever. So again, rear cross traffic, all that. Which another feature that Tesla didn't get until very recently was rear cross traffic alert. And you can actually hit it again, and it'll show you down the side of the car, which I think is cool.
Yep.
Otherwise, not a whole lot else to talk about here on the interior. You do, of course, have a glove box. You do have a decent, like, you have good amounts of storage through here. You have a small center console.
Yep.
And like you have like the upper dash materials aren't great, but nothing in here is offensive.
Yep.
This right here where you rest your knee is kind of a more soft padded area. Like this is harder plastic, but it's a $30,000 car. That makes sense.
A little small storage down there.
But overall, like this is a decent little package, especially for like just a basic transportation.
Yep. If you just need like a commuter car just to and from work right around town. We actually interviewed someone who has a Nissan Leaf. One of our first podcast episode we did. They love it. They have a newer one. I think it was a 2022 or 2023. They love it. It's a commuter car for them. They have it's their second vehicle. So this car would make a great second vehicle in a house. If you just need something to and from work, you already have that SUV or bigger car to get you on the traveling trips. Just need something to take you to and from the office or work each day. This car would be perfect. Charge it at home, no issues.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna get out of the park here in Conway and hop on the road. And once we get out there, we'll rejoin you again. So we'll see you in a bit. All right, we are now finally through the traffic of Conway and hitting the interstate. All right, Sebastian, some initial, a Cybertruck. Sorry, we digress. Some initial driving thoughts you have.
Yeah, so just first things off, we've driven a Leaf before, but I had kind of forgotten. You have decent power in this. It is a front-wheel drive only car, and it's not going to knock your socks off or anything. We drove an EX30 this morning that, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. But this is not bad at all. You can still get up to speed.
On the interstate right now. It was really good speed, yes.
Yeah, you get up to speed. You have plenty to do what you need to do. The suspension is, I forget how to activate cruise control. 1 second. Actually, we're going to do ProPilot. Let's just try it. Okay. And then set. There we go.
I want to get out of this lane. This is an exit-only lane.
Yep. Okay, so we are set in ProPilot. Now, anyway, what I was saying, the suspension in here is fine. It's not like anything amazing or mind-blowing or anything, but it's a basic car. This is kind of the economy car of EVs.
Yep.
And as far as that goes, it's not bad.
Yep.
I mean, it stays, like once you're on the interstate, it's pretty dang smooth. This is not a hands-free system. It is a hands-on system, obviously. That said, it's doing a good job around this corner.
Yeah, this is a big turn.
It's veering a little bit. It's, whatever, but it's really not too bad.
We are doing 75, what speed limit? 65,
Actually,
70?
we're doing less than because we are approaching on this car. Also, I'm going to wait for it to alert me again. I want to know. I'm assuming it's a torque wheel.
Yep. There it is. Yeah, it's a torque wheel.
Torque wheel. Okay. Which is what I expected. That makes sense. I'm curious. It's pretty windy out today.
Yeah.
It's only 65 decibels.
So it's quieter in here than it was in the EX30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Nope. And that was right around Chevy Blazer. Quieter in here than my Model Y. My Model Y was 67 decibels.
Okay, it vibrates the steering wheel when you touch your lane lines. Good to know.
You'll probably have to get off here because our next exit probably won't be till Plummerville.
Yeah, that's fine. And yeah, the Leaf, like... Whoop. All right, good to know. The second you turn on the turn signal, it completely cancels the lane centering.
There you go.
Which is fine. Golly, you do not get much regen. Like at all. It does it, obviously.
Yep.
But like it does not do a lot.
What we're used to,
Which is fine.
Yep. I would be okay with my wife because she hates regen braking. And so does my son who just started driving.
Which is funny. Oh, we can't turn left here.
You had to do the loop around.
We're gonna have to
go down here to
go down here and then find our way back. That's fine. That'll give us some chance to talk about on like kind of more low speed driving.
Yep.
So we drove through city streets over here, and again, I kind of mentioned, the suspension has that economy car feel.
Yep.
When you go over bumps, it kind of just, you hit them, you feel them, whatever. But it's not bad. You can tell, I think the weight, having extra weight because it's an EV definitely helps a lot. This is very basic transportation, but it's basic transportation that works.
That works.
And if you're just looking for something to get in, drive to work, come home.
No frills.
No frills.
Don't
You
worry about
are
tech.
okay with a basic car. You don't want all the fancy, latest, greatest.
Don't need OTA updates or anything like that. So yeah.
And there's people like that
Yeah.
want just a basic automobile that they can get in and know it just works.
Yep.
And this is that.
Yep.
You know, now MSRP on it is 38 grand.
Yes.
Which is kind of
And
a
we
lot.
don't know what any dealer incentive Superior is offering or lease special or anything like that. So yeah.
But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like 38 grand is not a lot of money, especially for this car. You know, you can get into Model 3s for like 35, brand new. Although that's after tax credit, which who knows, this might not exist much longer, and then those will be, well, you know, $7,500 more expensive. But at that price, it's like at 35 grand, you're getting into Equinox, and that's Equinox before tax credit. You're getting, you know, there's a bunch of cars out there in that price range, and that is the shortcoming on this car is at MSRP. It is hard to justify. But we've also seen in a lot of states, like Colorado, for example, crazy lease
$20
deals.
a month.
$20 a month
People
for 2
paying
years.
their lease deals off when they buy the car.
Yeah.
Just writing a check for a couple $100 saying, here's the lease deal.
And that's with basically no money down.
Yeah.
And like on something like that, you would be stupid not to buy one of these if you could buy it in for $20 a month.
Yep.
Because worst case scenario, you hit your mileage limit and go get another one.
Yep.
You get a second lease, whatever. You pay another $200. And it's like if you can get a really, really good deal,
they're out there.
And they are 100% out there. Or get one used.
Yep.
I mean, we kind of talked about it already. We had that 2018, 2019. It was $6,000.
Yep.
Could you imagine driving this car for $6,000? That's like first
So
car.
we're on city roads right now. I'd say city roads. We're kind of on country roads right now. As you can see, we got a beautiful over here, the lake. This is nice on this road.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yep.
The steering wheel vibrating kind of keeps throwing me off a little bit because it thinks I'm touching lane lines I'm not touching. But no, this it rides fine, and wind noise and road noise is really a lot better than I thought it was going to be. That was one of those, you know, when we I think the Leaf the first car you and I ever actually reviewed together.
I think it was, yeah.
I think it was. I think we'd done some podcast episodes before that, but that was our first review.
Yep.
And so there was some stuff like we weren't obviously paying attention to at that point. But like now sitting here driving, especially after we've driven a bunch of these other vehicles, like road noise when cars go past you and all that, it's not that bad. It's still pretty dang quiet.
Yep.
You can't soak up miles in this car because the range isn't what it needs to be and chatamo charging, whatever. But like if you're, like for me, for example, doing a 50-mile commute round trip every day.
This would be perfect for you.
It'd be fine.
Yep.
No
Because
problem.
you have that second car to take you on those long distance trips. Yep.
And so if you had one of these in, say, a Model Y or an Ioniq 5 or whatever else, just a bigger crossover with good range, good charging.
Yep.
2-car garage. Boom. Done.
Yep.
All right.
All right, we're going to go around, turn around up here, head back to the dealerships, and kind of give you our final thoughts. We'll see you in a bit. All right, we made it back here to Superior Nissan here in Conway. I want to give another shout out to Abraham Henson and the group over here for letting us get a hold of this car on short notice. They had it ready, had it charged for us. So final thoughts on this car for me. This car works if you need a second commuter car in your house. So you have the main car, travel from, bigger car for your family. If you're needing just that second car to go to and from work, short distance trips, I think this would be perfect for you. There's some great deals. There's some great deals out there on these cars right now. I'm sure if you want this car now, call Abe at Superior Nissan here in Conway. This is on a lot. It's available. I'm sure they'll work out a great deal for you. But yeah, and if you want a car that drives like a car, not an EV, but a car that you're used to with buttons and everything works, maybe you're older, technology intimidates you, but if you want a car that drives like a car but want the features of an EV, this would be a great car for you. Sebastian?
Yeah, so this is basic transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the Leaf is kind of the grandfather EV, right?
Yep.
Especially in the U.S. market. And, you know, and in a lot of ways it shows. But what the Leaf does really well is it's good, basic transportation that always will work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anyone can get into the car and drive it and know it's going to work. You know, maybe it doesn't have all the newest and greatest tech features or whatever, but some people like that. Yeah. Some people don't like driving a computer on wheels.
My wife would be one of them. Yes.
Being able to get in and know, okay, climate controls, drive, basic radio, I can just listen to music on. Like, that's all a lot of people want from their cars,
Yep.
you know, and when you consider that, this car makes sense, right?
Yep.
The only holdup on it is the actual MSRP.
Mm-hmm.
But if you live somewhere with awesome lease incentives, or a dealership is willing to give you, you know, good deal, you know, good markdowns, whatever, or any sort of rebates, whatever, this car then starts making a lot more sense, especially, like you said, as a second car or as a car you commute in. You know, CHAdeMO is a dying standard, so I wouldn't necessarily be comfortable taking this on a long distance trip, even though in theory this one's got over 200 miles of range, and you technically can fast charge it as long as you can get to a CHAdeMO station.
Yep.
Or you can spend the money to get the CHAdeMO to CCS adapter, and then you can charge it anywhere.
Yep.
But that said, you know, the price MSRP is high. The car, I mean, is basic, which is not a bad thing if that's what you're into. It drives well. Like, it drives way better than I thought you would think it would drive, considering what the car is.
Yes.
And it's quiet on the.
It was a lot. It's on an older architecture too. Yes.
Yeah. It was a lot quieter on the highway than I thought it would be. It drives well in the city. It has plenty of power to get you up and out of your way. You know, it's not like the fastest car in the world or anything by any means. But I mean, it'll get you up to speed, no problem. It's a good package. I'm just a little disappointed that Nissan has kept it the same for as long as they have. And now, you know, yes, new Leaf is around the corner. 2026 model year, I believe, is when it's expected. You're still able to get this generation Leaf as a 2025 model year, largely unchanged. But yeah, this is a car that just...
And if you like Nissan and you want CCS and you want better range, better charging, you can get the Nissan Aria.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, this is just good, basic transportation.
Yep. All right, that is it. We're going to turn the keys back over to the guys here and gals here at Superior Nissan. Once again, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification icon so you are alerted when new content drops. That is all for today. We will see you again on our next episode of the EV Geek Podcast. So long, everyone.